Hi everybody, my name is Barry Labendz. I'm one of the founders of Kent Falls Brewing with John. Where's John? There's John in the back. Our brewery is just about 5 years old. We're on a farm out in northwest Connecticut, and we've been working with local malt, Valley Malt, Andrea, and Thrall Family Malt since, or as long as we've been open. And a lot of it in the beginning was ordering a pallet of local malt, making beer with it, celebrating that it was local. And as we kind of got more familiar and engaged more with Andrea and some of the farmers and really what it means to be working with local malt, really found a lot of enjoyment out of it. And as we ordered more, we saw kind of where the trajectory or state of local malt was, where the barley was coming from different farms and batches would have different characters that we were trying to figure out why and place in different styles of beer. And I think it was in 2016 or so, in the summer, Andrea came down and we did a sensory analysis of 6 varieties of barley, mashed, and we did wort samples and tasted, and everybody in the brewery had a hands down favorite, and we learned that Endeavor barley was the barley we wanted to brew with. And kind of from that point in I think 2016, we really we knew we wanted to be brewing with this individual malt, and we needed to figure out how to do it. So kind of over the next year and a half, we ended up signing a malt contract, and eventually it was grown and we were being able to brew with it. And once it became available and Thrall Family Malt opened later in 2018, and the opportunity to switch to 100% local malt was there, we kind of jumped in and recklessly, to an extent, just said everything we're going to do is going to be local. This is our thing. We love it too much to ignore it. So our excitement and engagement with it and understanding of all of the wildly complex and inspirational stories and aspects to grain, the environmental and sustainability aspects, the flavor components, the economic impacts, all of these things we really started to learn and talk about firsthand, and really started to want to convey a lot of these things to the customer. But it's hard because these are big topics, and even talking about grain sheds and the scales that are required are fairly abstract. So, the question that I started really thinking about trying to answer was, how do we convey these abstracts as something tangible to our customers? And when we started canning beer in 2017, I want to say, our brewery began to grow a lot, and we were able to use a lot more local malt and still base malt, conventional malt at the time. That really struck me as an important way to convey what consumers or drinkers aren't used to sitting in their home talking about the Grainshed. They sure as hell open a lot of cans of beer and take home a lot of cans of beer from us. So I kind of sought to work back from all these scale numbers down to what is in a single can of our 6% IPA, and the answer was 4 square feet of barley field. So, the first step was kind of putting something literally in their hands where you can give a quantified impact that a consumer is having their purchasing decisions. So somebody can hold the can and say, I know I'm supporting 4 square feet. And when I do brewery tours on occasion on Saturdays, we'll be in the brewery and you say, where does the process start? And so it says, in the malt room, in the mash, different answers. And always point to, it starts in the field, right? And at some point I ask, I'll give free beer to anybody who can tell me how much barley field is required for one can of IPA. And, their answers range from 1 square foot to 100 square feet. And when I answer 4, the next question is inevitably, is that a lot? Right? And it's another one of these stories of kind of the disconnect from what people are drinking and where it's coming from. And, to me, that was just one small thing that struck me as a way to engage people and not necessarily burden them with all of the more serious or complicated issues right off the bat, but tell them that just by simply buying this beer that's 100% local malt, you're supporting 4 square feet of barley field. When they ask how big are barley farms and you say 800 acres and you give them what that number of cans translates to, they're shocked. So, there's a lot of ways you can take the conversation about the demand of it, but ultimately what you're doing is giving them something that they can know, or even if it's 5 square feet or 3 square feet, you're giving them something that they're able to feel good about their purchasing decision. And that, I think, goes a lot into why everybody here also uses local malt. All the other brewers that are up here, Jason and Noah hit on it, where it's like these relationships make what the end product and the process of producing it and selling it so much more so much more fulfilling along the way, where it's not just the flavor of the local malt that we want. Once I found the flavor, and now we have 2 malts that we use for different styles, that's the only 2 malts I really want to work with. And it probably became hard until the Endeavor was grown that I was like, is this Endeavor? No. Well, and you become a pickier customer. But the reality is, if you can create these engagements to make our small supply chain that we're trying to build and strengthen tighter and stronger, and connect that last link, the consumer, with the first link, not have, like Jack said, the demand go from what the consumer wants to what we're growing, but the way we're growing and brewing and distributing or whatever it might be our beer, if you can just bring them back into the fold and connect them with the farmer, by your supporting 4 square feet or plenty of other ways. It was a very simple, mathematical, quantifiable tool that we can then use in a lot of ways, which is part of what I think we're going to talk about moving forward. So this has been an idea that we've tossed around and tried to use in a lot of different ways over the last 1.5 to 2 years. And Jason forwarded us an email yesterday morning that the world is kind of about to see it, though not through our means. I promise I never worked on Michelob Ultra marketing campaign, but if you want to play the video, play this. This is what the world will see during Super Bowl tomorrow.
Less than 1% of our farmland is organic. And farmers who want to transition face monumental challenges. What if we could help them? Simply by having a beer. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold introduces 6 for 6 pack. Pick up a 6-pack, we'll help transition 6 square feet of farmland to organic. So imagine, all these riders go for a 6-pack. This can go organic. If everyone who moves like them gets one, all of this can turn organic. 6-pack, 6 square feet. And if every football fan picks up a 6-pack, we could change America's organic farmland forever.
I've never felt so validated by Michelob Ultra in my life. So one of the things that they don't say, right? They don't say 6 square feet in the 6-pack, right? They just say, this is what we're going to do. Michelob Anheuser-Busch could turn all of U.S. agriculture organic tomorrow if they wanted to also, right? So, I mean, I think I wouldn't say 4 for 16, but the argument of this is actually what's in it, right? We're all more detail-oriented than that, and it's part of why it's a harder message to get out. But being able to give somebody the quantifiable, this is all you have to use your purchasing power for, and you can do all this good, and you can throw a big number of, if we all did this, this is what it would mean. We need X amount of acres in barley or wheat in the Northeast for this to really be sustainable. So we need to sell X number of cans or X number of pounds of barley or barrels of beer. You can use this, you can calculate it however you want it that means something to you, but convey it to a customer. And our beers are more farm and more flavor.